Hello, welcome back to the stream. It's your host Marley Startled, and today we'll be continuing on the Blitzkrieg campaign. What I will say is that I've had a rather good sleep today, so I'm pretty packed with energy, and I'm going to go for lunch later on in the day, which is going to be good. And so altogether, it's going to be a pretty good day, but this will be short and sweet until I get back. 'Cause I've got to do, of course, stuff before work. But primarily, the campaign is going actually rather well, and hopefully we should be able to win Sickle Stroke. So we'll hopefully play one or two scenarios, and then from there, be good to go. And what I will say is also my mic is absolutely filthy and needs a clean, but keep forgetting to do that. Oh well. In any case, well, moving on to the low countries. This is when things start getting hard. The difficulty curve in the Blitzkrieg DLC is sort of a middle ground between. It starts off pretty easy, but the time limits are very unfair. Then it really rockets around the France area, so this is the start where the difficulty starts to rise significantly. And then when you get to say Greece and Yugoslavia, the difficulty is sort of meh. But here's the Low Countries, May 10th of 1940. Val Gelb, the German battle plan for a quick victory over France is set in motion. The plan is to lure the Allied armies north by launching a major attack into the Netherlands and Belgium. As Group B, deploying more than 30 divisions and aided by Fallschirmjäger, is to overwhelm the Netherlands while applying maximum force towards the French border through Belgium. As the Allies react to these movements, they will be unable to respond effectively to the armoured spearhead further to the south. We shall see. So, turn 11, win this game. Now, this one's not too bad. So, you have two tasks complete. First, your main effort should be directed through Belgium and towards the frontiers of France. Second, you are to overrun the Dutch army and force the country to surrender early by breaching the Greb line. To aid this effort, the 22nd Luftland Division has already landed in Holland. The reports from these forces are confused, and it seems they have taken heavy losses, even though their mere presence is bound to confuse the enemy. Okay, so we have to take Amsterdam, Brussels, Antwerp, Mans, Ibn Amil, Dutch capitulation. So if we can take this fort, the Dutch automatically surrender. Namur and Rotterdam. At the same time, our forces are, I suspect, not too strong. So the first thing we're going to do is upgrade our tanks. And then we're going to give pioneers, thugs, you name it, to the tanks. Well, we don't want to spend all our money, so we're going to have to be a bit careful. I'm going to save 100 points in reserve just in case we outdo ourselves and incompetence, because money is where things start getting a bit tight. Anyway, our supply lines are located around, of course, Düsseldorf and the Ruhr, and we have to break into Ibn Amil, which, of course, has a supply line going through all the way to Bruges and Lille. At the same time, we've got enemy supply coming from Amsterdam. So we have to just sort of do a two-front knockout, with one panzer pushed out towards Bruges and Brussels, and the other northern panzer push all the way through to get that Dutch capitulation. Now the question is how much resources to direct to each assault. Normally I'll try and do a main punch through in this sector. There will be some British armour that comes down to deviate, and you end up having sort of a miniature tank battle. However, if we can break through here, we effectively don't have many problems. And also up here, with a few bombing runs and some luck, we should be able to knock these bad boys out. In any case, let's give it a go. How's my supply lines? Supply lines are fine, don't worry about it. So the first thing we need to take is Ibn Amil by turn 2, which is going to be easier said than done. If I do a bombing run on you, are you gonna... I'll have to wait on that. I'm gonna rush the tanks through. And sort of aim to sweep around this sector. At the same time, we'll send up some infantry over here. See if we can get that Dutch capitulation. Like I said, before, the infantry is there to be somewhat cannon fodderized. And what I'm really trying to do is get to the Dutch lines as quickly as possible. Because that'll be turn 4 and Ibn Emil is turn 2. I can probably break Ibn Emil with a useful bomber cart, but it is a bit risky and I don't really want to do it just yet. At the same time, we can start bombing away on this objective. He says, easier said than done actually. There we are, air supply open. And if we are lucky, we're going to find out where the enemy armor is going to come. Down in these sectors here. We below the bridge at Lille. Where's the Panzers? DM. We below the bridge at Ghent, which we can't do. We below the bridge at... It's not really worth blowing. Might as well just wait. Oh yeah, we've got power drops apparently, so let's drop some paratroopers. Where are we going to drop them? Here. There we are. Here's my target. 0 to 1. Apparently this will work, but I'm going to lose troops, so no. There we are, Ibn Emil taken. And we will see if we can not lose because of that. I do need to get that Dutch capitulation. So we are going to be spending one of our HE bombers. Oh, we have air attacks as well. What to bomb? Let's bomb this motorized. And then we'll move on to Rotterdam after. Make sure this guy's well equipped. Oh, good morning. So Ibn Emil gives you more prestige. And we're going to need more prestige for the next scenario. That's really why we've done it. Dutch capitulation is a weird one. It basically involves landing well, taking this to make the whole of the Netherlands collapse. If you can do that, then you can speed round. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done. It's literally just taking that one square to force the Dutch to surrender. So if I try and break through, And we do have to be a bit careful because we're going to be low on supply. Yeah, so the fort hexes give you like even more bonuses to the defenses. So you need to really blow up the forts before you can actually do anything of value to actually take the fort. So it's actually rather difficult to do. We are going to end up losing our paratroopers, I believe, and we may end up losing Rotterdam unless we can punch through. But yes, the forts give them these guys extra bonuses in their defense because of their location on the fort, meaning that I have to wear down the fort first before I can actually penetrate their lines, which is rather awkward. So the best way to knock down forts are using the flying artillery or slowly weighing it down with air attack and saturation tactics. However, if you can't do that, then it's not the end of the world. So we're going to start moving the troops around in a rather long flank. And at the same time, I think I'm going to... I don't really want to blow this up, but I can because there's no objectives here. So if I just blow this up, and that should stop any enemy troops coming through. Paratroopers have landed. Let's retreat them back. They're no longer of value. Start moving the Kansas up. Yes, the British armour will be coming soon, or it's a French armour. Either way, there will be an armour contingent moving in at some date. I just haven't found out when. But they're coming in the next couple of turns, so I just need to slow them down while I continue making my beachhead on my breakthrough, and once that's done, I should be fine. I don't want to do that. I want to leave it somewhat open so these guys don't get over pushed out. These guys may end up getting killed by RNG, but it's okay, it's workable. So, next objective is Antwerp, and then Brussels, and then Mons. So a few of these, but we can move along the coast to get to these objectives. So destroying this bridge just slows them down and potentially stops them reinforcing Antwerp. But we will see. There's the BEF there. They're going to come in and start pushing. We're going to have an armor battle here eventually, so we do have to be a bit mindful of where we're going to send our resources. So that's why we're going to start sending the infantry up as best as possible. And we're going to start putting HQs down, moving this HQ further up because of the impending armor. Okay, so we've had 2 turns ports, which is great. I'm still trying to wear these guys down, which is not good. 2 to 1, I'll take that. And there we have it. We've taken it with a bit of luck with our armor. Now with this taken, we can reinforce this sector, and continue persevering down south. This is very good because knocking it down at the turn early allows us to move forward. And the reason I was able to do that is because I had engineers and pioneers and all that sort of stuff attached to my my panzers, which if I didn't have would have spelt disaster. But because I did, it all worked out. So with this secured, we can now begin our long and lonely advance north. Yeah, I'm trying to rush north. But the actual prisoners are beginning to slow me down, which is an even greater problem. I'm going to start moving the some forces south now, because I no longer need them. I no longer really need them here. In preparation for the next stage. We're going to put down a little supply point there as well. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we should be able to move into Amsterdam next turn. That's depending on whether or not the German the armour starts turning up. There's that defensive line. I'm doing one-to-one trades because I can. And this is just because once the British do turn up, they will do a rather hefty counterattack. And so it's sort of necessary that I do this. And keep extending along this line. And there we are. There's that panzer push. So we're going to be rather brave here. Or stupid, depending on how you want to look at it. And we are going to try and punch through and encircle these tanks. Because these are full health tanks, these guys are going to have to get bombed for a bit. While I send the rest of the armour down to persevere. And this will slow us down, but it's okay. It could be worse. Yes, the rather awkward advance to Antwerp, but I don't think that bridge is blown, so fingers crossed it isn't. If it is, then I'm going to have to find a way to repair it, which I don't have a means of doing. And that will mean my main assault's going to start floundering down south, which is a problem, so I'm going to have to start deviating my armour down south to fix that. Which is a big problem. That's probably what I probably should have put points in in that. Especially because these guys are now going to starve unless I can get lucky. No, I don't think I can get lucky. Problem. But this is to be expected. The trick is not to panic in this sort of scenario. Although we don't have any bridges, which is also a problem and a half. Yeah, we don't have any bridging equipment. That's really bad. The lack of bridging equipment is going to be disastrous for us. In the meantime, see if you guys can get reinforced. But this is why you're going to be worried about the enemy panzers, because if you're not, then they're just going to start smashing through. The red force pool, let me take a look. You mean this fellow? So this is on the bar. This is the HQ reserves. These are where you can get more supplies from. These are bonus supplies. The reorg step gives you the ability to take troops or take attachments off troops and give it to other units. And this fellow is the transfer step, so you can transfer. Move one active step between subordinates within the HQ range. So this is where you can just move back and forth. Whereas this one's taking 1 or 2 off to reapply later. This is directly transferring it, but there's only 3 transfer steps. So this tank may get blown up, but I'm going to need to do something of it just to make it break through. I probably could have waited 1 more turn and not moved it across that river, but you know how it is. This is frustrating, but not the end of the world. I mean, the infantry is replaceable. It's just I'd rather not lose that much infantry in one go. Plus, that armor's gone now, so. I can start striking down. and continue to persevere. Luckily, this tank did not get wiped out. Unluckily, my infantry does not wish to assist. Hopefully you can repair this bridge. They do not want to repair that bridge, which is again really bad. Because that tank is now going to be rather vulnerable next turn. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to repair that bridge, but hey-ho. I sort of need that bridge repaired. In any case, let's start blowing this tank up. I need to take Brussels by the next turn, but I don't think we're going to do it. And we need to take Mons by turn 7. We should be able to break through to Mons by turn 7, I believe. But we won't be able to get to Brussels to get those extra points. Which is a tad awkward. Still, we got to the other objectives, which isn't that bad. I desperately need you to do some repairing of that bridge line, otherwise we are done for. We're getting sort of cucked by prisoners now, which is an even bigger problem. Next turn, this is going to starve, which is bad. Still, let's keep pushing through the Mons. Okay, that didn't work. It's this broken bridge which has done me over. It's been my undoing. That one bridge. And the prisoners of war. The prisoners of war, the stragglers, will also slow me down exponentially. Ah, I know what I should have done. So I could have used my precision bombing to blow this up at the right time, and this would have starved the boys out. Sadly, I didn't, so there you are. Okay, supply lines are open. These guys are going to withdraw back. These guys are going to withdraw forward. These guys are starving. I'm going to move our forces over here, even though it doesn't really matter because it just doesn't. I still need to take Brussels, but this is behind the timetable, but it is to be expected. I had hoped for a slightly more efficient turn of events, but hey ho, I didn't want to do that. Should be able to break through here. There's enemy armor coming up to the north. We've also got problems on the in this sector as well. It's all a bit of a clusterfuck right now, if I'm honest. Haven't done a very good job, and especially down at Mons. I've lost a lot of troops, which I shouldn't really have lost. Still, Brussels is the next target. And fingers crossed we can hold. Good, I didn't counterattack down south. This is just horseplay, it's not that bad. But hopefully this doesn't screw us over too much, because I am aware that my lack of infantry has now become a bit of a sticking point. I wish I could turn back time. Yeah, I've moved to the north. I moved to the north. I'm going to abandon Mons temporarily so I can reacquire these objectives. And then we've got to somehow break through the rest of this sector. I have a lot of blown up bridges. I wonder if Her's group wants to repair... No, he doesn't. Her's group doesn't care. Her's group has done nothing of value this entire scenario. I can't even, like, fight my way over these bridges because of how battered they are. Air attacks, let's just bomb this so it doesn't attack my own tanks. It's about keeping those supply lines open now. as I move up to Brussels in somewhat of a sweeping motion. I can't really afford to starve Brussels out right now because it won't kick in time. Get out of my land. Nope. Okay. This will be a silly rush if I try that. This is not a good idea. We're going for a YOLO for Ghent, but I don't think this is going to work. We should be able to hold Brussels as long as they stop counterattacking. There we are. Luck be a lady tonight. Made it, just about, by the skin of our teeth. So, let's do a strategic recap of what happened. So, the initial breakthroughs were rather successful. We broke through Ibn Emil within, well, far ahead of our expected time frame, and we knocked out the Dutch very quickly, allowing us to move our forces down south. My mistake here was wasting my, well, blowing up this bridge when I shouldn't have. Basically, by blowing this bridge, I sort of cucked myself by preventing myself from moving over. And I should have perhaps blown the northern bridge after I had swept up this river line. So what I should have done is sent the panzers over, broke the enemy lines into two, began pushing them up to Antwerp, and then blown this bridge. This bridge would have remained open, and so I would have control and been able to cross, but they would not have supply and they would have begun to starve. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, and as in consequence, that meant that once I actually broke through and took Antwerp, I really struggled to push into Brussels, and I had to go around a long way. That cost me probably 2-3 turns. The armor push was also rather decisive. I chose to sort of ignore the armor push and instead keep pushing forward with the tanks, and that, or at least trying to surround the French armor while I continued to push on with the tanks. And this was quite costly because it forced encirclements on me. However, I think it bought me the time, and if I focused too much on those tanks, I would have lost this scenario. I probably should have used the airstrikes on those tanks a bit more, but I was too busy trying to push the objectives. Still, it achieved what I needed to achieve, and we are now... And we've crashed. So we'll have to reboot the game. But the good thing about these scenarios is that, as Patrika has pointed out, there is a lot of risk taking, and pros and cons, and trying to take a look at what is the benefits opposed to the risks. Like that supply dump down in Aachen, I could have tried pushing to it and been surrounded and destroyed, or it could have bought me supply for a couple of turns. And in this scenario, getting that supply at Aachen was enough to help me push and succeed. is very high. The play style of Blitzkrieg is very high risk, low reward, and we have not finished our turn. And I've literally been cucked by RNG. I have been cucked by RNG. Oh, thank God. I wasn't going to be mad. Well, I was going to be pretty mad if that was the case. Still, these infantry may end up dying anyway, so I'm going to have to start putting pressure on. That's my fault. Entirely my fault. I'm gonna have to restart the scenario because I fucked up towards the end. Ugh, cursed. I would have been able to hold Brussels. I would have been able to hold Brussels. I'm just a bit mold that I was not able to take it so easily this time because the airstrike screwed me over. No, we'll restart the scenario. Bruh. Why have you done this game? Literally dabbed on me. That's one thing I do find frustrating, but I do like it adds a bit more RNG and it adds a bit more dynamism to the game. So it's not that bad. It's just a bit frustrating. So I immediately upgrade the tanks to full. Give the pioneers over. Give the Stug 2 alphas. Anything else for the armor? No. Okay. And then give out the infantry. Give these infantry full health. That should be enough. So once again, we're going to have to repeat the process because of that one incident. I mean, I'm not mad. I'm just pretty salty. So first things first, punch through once again. Will I send the armor south? You know what, I'm going to send this armor south. And I'm going to send this armor south as well. And everything else can start moving. Double time. Oh, you can keep moving up. So the next step in the master plan, land troops, well, first bombard, and now I get a second strike, which is still a bit frustrating because I don't really need it, but I'm still a bit mad by that. I'll see if I try not to use it. So we're going to start pouring infantry across as per with Captain Hindsight. Oh, Captain Hindsight. I'm going to move this bad boy down. Yeah. And I'm not going to do 1-to-1 on that unit. Over here, probably should be doing some damage on this. Because you guys are going to be out of supply in one turn. That didn't work, so this is going to get wiped. Oh well. Doesn't really keep me awake at night because I know for a fact I can break the Netherlands pretty quickly. Keep on pushing on, boys. This time, fingers crossed, we'll be able to do a much better push south. That's 1-to-1. I don't really want to do 1-to-1 with infantry. Let's do a pin attack on you. Or not, we can do that instead. Rotterdam's still open, which is good. And our breakthrough has not been as good as previously, but could be a lot worse. Especially right now, because my line's actually chocked with troops. Like, literally chocked. This is fine, I still hold this bridge. There we are. Start moving as much as our as much as our mechanized can down south. As we continue the bomb rush. But they've already blown the bridge, so, you know, it's swinging around about 30. There's our first enemy tank, which we're going to immediately blow up. Fully, if possible. I think I've given my tanks better stats this time, or better attachments. That cav can't be allowed to exist. And here's Group B. You can still repair bridges, so if I move you over here, fingers crossed, you're going to do a good job. Amsterdam needs to fall by turn 5. It's already turn 3. We're doing extremely well trying to punch our way through this sector. So I'm moving my my motorized troops further south now because they're not going to have much impact until like 2 or 3 turns. So I want to have one motorized up here just to quickly rush Amsterdam just in case it takes a while the rest zoom down south to assist in the push down south. So I don't really want to destroy these bridges. I want to keep them intact, and I think I actually want to start blowing, say, the bridges over this supply line. But I don't want to do it yet because I need to see where the enemy is coming from. So the enemy's infantry is coming from these sectors. So if I blow this bridge now, I can potentially do a rather quick Blitzkrieg over here. There's always one. Fortunately, that shouldn't slow me down for too long because my motorized are coming down and they should be able to smack these guys back into shape. Which is quite lucky. Sometimes luck does play a factor in this. So, where to put our troops? Let's put down a supply point here so these guys don't starve. And then let me pull off the supply points down here. Make sure I don't forget to take the objective up at Amsterdam. And we'll take this objective as well. With all this taken, we should have a pretty easy time punching through now. It's only turn 4 and already we're in a good spot. Our supply line's a little bit awkward right now. But my trick is now to put more effort into destroying enemy tanks. Because if I destroyed enemy tanks, they will pose a much more limited threat against me. At the same time, I'm going to start blowing this sector. I'm going to start moving the armor up. And I'm going to see if I can get this guy to repair. Oh, this guy's been starved. That's a pain in the ass. Undo that move. do some one-to-ones as we continue to move up this sector. This is fine, as long as they don't cross, I'm a happy camper. If they start crossing, then we're going to have problems. This is fun. Can we pull off supply even further? Yeah, let's pull off supply there, we don't need it. These guys can move south. And that should be that. We destroyed, what, 2 panzers already? So we just need to make sure these motorized don't do anything too problematic. This tank has to go. I rather wish I could undo that, but never mind. 1-to-1. Start moving up the rest of our troops. And now repair the bridge. Or don't. Apparently you don't want to repair bridges at this stage of the war. Okay, whatever. Whatever. We don't need it. We don't need you. We're gonna start moving south instead. I just understand why you no longer have any points, but okay, whatever. Anyway, we've taken Antwerp. It's just a case of a breakthrough down south now to curb round to take Brussels. I'm not too concerned yet, especially because that bridge is still intact as well, so that's great for me. Start the breakthrough. Pull this back. Use this fellow to see if he can punch through. 1-to-1. I'll take the 1-to-1. Draw this fellow back. We have a slow slog through here, but hey ho. One to one, 1-to-1. Damn, you guys just do not go down. Really? We keep going like this? Fine. This is a much better Belgium, if I'm honest. Yeah, we still haven't taken Brussels yet, but we should be able to take Mons soon. And I haven't lost as many units doing this either, which is great news. Still, some minor problems up north with some raids and that. You can do a rather risky strategy of trying to push around this sector, but you won't have a lot of supply doing it. And if I just take a look at my map, it's rather well fortified, so you probably don't want to bother doing it. Enemy tank? No, thank you. This is where the enemy tanks have gone. A bit of RNG on the tanks as well. Whereas previously the tanks were rather uber aggressive, in this scenario they have been rather passive and defensive. So let's upgrade this, and then try and aim to punch our way across this sector as well. Going one-to-ones just to break across. This is not a good place to try and flank, but okay. So I knew that was going to happen. But fortunately my guys withdrew. They were intelligent, so... Brussels or Mons, that's the question. I'm going to keep on pushing for Brussels. Or Mons. That's actually more correct to say Mons, because I'm actually continuing to push to Mons. This can go. We can start expanding north. This tank's a bit vulnerable, so... Well, its motorized is a bit vulnerable, so I'm not going to utilize too much of that. Meanwhile, this tank is doing pretty well. So I'm going to sweep it around. And this tank can start coming down as well. Send some infantry down. But we should be able to do this objective pretty easily now. Have a resupply you. So you're nice and ready to go. Brussels is next on the list, but we're just curving around it now. This is minor stuff. Let's start bombing the shit out of you. That won't work. As group, move closer. How's my resupply? Good. Turn 9. We're gonna have to wait a turn. Hopefully we get resupplied and we can start bombarding. So what to hit? 1-to-1. 1-to-1. Move this vehicle in. 2-to-1. 1-to-1. Let's start bombing Brussels. There we are. We can start breaking out now, making sure that these guys don't counterattack. Make sure we keep these guys intact. 2-to-1. And a somewhat successful push. The only reason I didn't use this flying artillery is because out of principle I didn't need it for this scenario, so I didn't use it. But yeah, generally it's almost again like a three-pronged push. A small push up north, which you then deviate down as quickly as possible. A push down south and a push for the centre. Now you could technically ignore the centre push and just focus entirely on the southern sector once you've caused this to capitulate. But you don't want enemy panzers pushing up through here, which might be a problem. So what I could recommend is potentially moving most of your panzers to punch down south and just leaving the motorized and leaving the center to sort of as an infantry push. But altogether, it still works. So you know, that's actually might be a better idea for this scenario, as moving most of your panzers for the center down south. That's funny. Well, I'm not laughing. So I'm going to have to deviate a panzer back just to literally flap this. Where were we? Oh, right, we were continuing to push these guys back. I don't trust that. Yeah, I'm going to move a guy to Antwerp. They can't possibly push this guy. They can't. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Just in case, I'm going to start weakening this line a bit more. I know my tank's a bit vulnerable now, but I just want to make sure that their combined strength can't be used to take Mons. Sturm Group Granite. Capture Ibn Emau in a low country scenario. Of the 70 men, the Falchion Pioneer of the Sturm Group Granite managed to subdue the vast Belgian fortress of Ibn Emau. Landing in gliders and using revolutionary-shaped charges, it was one of the first major achievements of the airborne troops. Although a spectacular feat of arms, the event itself proved of less importance as German troops crossed the Meuse and its canals in multiple other locations. And with that, we move on to Sickle Stroke, probably the hardest scenario of this game. Dunkirk is easier than Sickle Stroke, but Sickle Stroke is very, very difficult. So, while Allied armies race north to meet Herz Group B, Herz Group A attacks to the south. It will attempt to race through the Ardennes, aiming to cross the Meuse River before Allies can respond. If successful, this outflanking strike could throw the Allies into utter disarray. Speed will be paramount. Panzer Group Kleist, a novel formation consisting entirely of fully motorized units, will lead the attack. Its performance will likely decide the outcome of the entire campaign. So the reason why Sickle Stroke is so difficult is that you haven't got a lot of time, and your main effort is, well, you're going to see in a second. You're going to see in a second why this is probably one of the hardest scenarios. A surprise strike for the Ardennes is ready to commence. At your disposal are the best divisions Germany has to offer. Experience gained to the Polish campaign has led OKW to concentrate most of your armour into Panzer Group Kleist. This fully motorised command should lead your dash for the channel. Meanwhile, your infantry must attempt to keep pace and secure your flanks. Waste no time, it will not be long before the French realise what we are up to. So we start here, a big ball, a big mass of troops, and we have to move all the way along this line, try and cross Sedan, try and cross Dinant, and move all the way up to Abbeville and Arras. Along the way is entire French divisions just blocking the route, making it almost impossible to push through, who will quite easily and quite happily intercept and take your supply lines, starving you out. Equally, you can see our supply is stopped here, and unless we can cross there, there is no other highway or motorway to cross from. Of course, we could try and cheese and perhaps punch through the south, but then of course we aren't going to make it. Then we aren't really going to make it because there'll be another Panzer Corps, there'll be another fort there, which we have to get around. So our best bet is normally to mass our panzers and push for the Sedan, cross the Sedan, and then beeline to Lyon, and let's keep pushing up using all our supply trucks and everything we've used along the way to achieve success. So if we take a look at Panzer Group Kleist, we're going to see if we can give these guys any more armor. This is why I've saved up some points for this. I'm going to give these guys the most expensive stuff. And then the infantry squads can just, have what's left. Equally, if any of my infantry squads have stuff I can requisition, we're going to use it. We're going to take that as well, so we can give it to our. Oh, we can't. That's a shame. That's a shame. We can only give it to our current units. Anyway, we'll give it to our frontline troops. So we're going to dump our supplies here and dump them there. And then we're going to try and begin, although I am wary of time, so we may have to end halfway through this. I'm really pushing to Luxembourg. Keep shuffling troops across the line. The Panzers push immediately. And we rush. Let's keep on rushing up. Panzer Group Kleist, well, Panzer Group Kleist needs to move forward with the Panzers. Any infantry squads that we can afford, we got to start moving down to block the enemy push, but we don't have any infantry squads to block, so that's the problem. And we have to end our turn, sadly, which is unfortunate. We can do some air attacks, so why not do some air attacks on... You never know, we might get lucky. We didn't get lucky that time, but you never know. Oh, you can't do that on these guys, that's a shame. I'm gonna start bombing this. So my guys can continue to move forward. If I have to, I'll just have to go around the... around the enemy cavalry. Put down some raw recruits, keep on persevering. to keep on moving the boys even closer. We got a lot of panzers, which is good. And the non-crossing should be pretty easy to push through next turn. This is where we pull out one of our bombers. Let's pull out this bomber. I screwed this up already, which is a problem. In any case, we've got to keep going forward. I want to keep going forward, so I don't really care about that. No, let me go. Keep letting me go forward, please. I have to move infantry to block this because they will do some cheesy stuff on me. Go. So, next put down more supply. Keep on moving through to block off any cut-off attempts along my sectors. Panzer Group Kleist moves forward to keep supporting the infantry. And we continue the mad dash to France. Any troops that aren't being used to block the enemy should be moving forward. Put down one little supply point for you. There you are. They can see how bad this can be if you're not paying attention one turn and they just cut you off your supply line. You are in for a bad time. But anyway, we should be all right. Let's keep going. That's why we saved all our cars for this particular mode. Yep, they are going to start blowing bridges. At the same time, we are going to start getting painfully or dangerously stretched out. That's why we're using everything we have, basically using every tool we have in our disposal for this mode. Messiers needs to go. So we should get to Lyon by turn 6, which that's according to the big book of according to high command, but we will see about that. Especially because there will be German armor coming towards me soon if I'm not careful. You're telling me you're not getting any supply? Oh, I can't. That needs to be fixed. Keep pulling back. I don't need to worry about the troops up at Liège. They have little value to me. And we get a new unit here as well, which is just a garbage mechanized one. I've done some bridge blowing, but it should be alright to keep on pushing over. Kleist, do you want to repair the next bridge? Yeah, that's it. I'm pushing everything up. The infantry will have to do some blocking. We've got some tanks down to the south. Let's start our punch throughs. I'm going for Lyon. Most of their tanks are encircled, which is great news for me. My supply lines are acceptable, but this is why I've been saving the cards for this sole purpose. And let's move Panzerproof Army up this way. We should take Lyon by the next turn, and we are almost at Amiens and Abbeville, but there will be enemy armor coming this turn, so we may end up overextending and getting the good news. Minor inconveniences, nothing more. Let's bomb this by 1. See if I can weaken it enough to change the dynamic. There we are. Move this unit over. Keep on moving this fellow up. If I had more troops, I would more than happily fade this out, but I don't, so... We have to keep on persevering north. I'm going to start draining my supplies as much as I can now for each sector. We really do have to stretch our supplies out like it's nothing. Okay, Kleiss, can you move forward? Yes, we can. Can you move forward? Yes, you can. Can you move forward? Not really, no. Let's cancel that move. We have to break through to re-support our lines. And Avion's is empty, so I'll take that. What about Abbeville? Abbeville is also empty. 1 to 1, 1 to 1. And that should be all the objectives taken, apart from Preserve Armor and Calais by turn 9. Sadly, a lot of my armor is pretty scuffed now, but it is what it is. We're gonna suffer a cut-off here. But fortunately that shouldn't be a problem because our supply lines are coming from the north, not the south. He says, trying to cope. Any more supply lines? Yeah, one more. And let's do a recon of Calais. Alright, no one's in Calais. We'll do a paratroop invasion of Calais. This is where the reinforcements start turning up. Recon, what's in Calais? Nothing's in Calais. Let me drop a paratrooper in Calais. So we have to counter breakthrough now because of that rather awkward. Right. Don't really want to retreat from Arras. Where's Panzergroup Bay? That Panzer may prove problematic if I don't deal with that either. I wonder, Panzergroup Kleist, what about you? Can you move further north? Panzer! And my resupply, I gotta put more supply down here. There we are. If I could just not die, would that help me? I see you, tank. I see you lurking there. Emergency resupply. Go capture this. And break through here. This armor needs to halt. We're gonna have to blow this up. Just to stop it crossing and fucking me up. The rest of Panzerkleist A, we can get here within the time frame. We've already achieved most of what we need to do. Is just making sure we don't waste too much armor, and then we need to punch through to resupply with the remainder of our force over here. However, I don't think I'll be able to put down another supply point for you. A shame. Yeah, there's more trucks available, but I can't do anything with those trucks because of the way this level is. You're just stretching your supply lines to the hilt, and you can't waste time trying to break through this sector. You've just got to punch it, Chewie. Basically, your job is to punch it. That guy may retreat back to Abbeville, but it should be fine. Can you retreat before you get blown up? There we are. I can live with that. I've taken Abbeville, it's fine. So we need to take Amions, and then we are good. And we also need to take this objective. Get off my objective, please. You're out of supplies, you need to run over here. You're going to be out of supply in 1 turn. There we are. Got some supply now. And you're going to starve in 1 turn as well. Well, you've just got nothing left, really. Let's just push everything to the hilt trying to achieve this victory. Like, everything is like put up to 11. If you haven't been saving up your supply trucks and things like that, you are going to really struggle. Because even with the extra like 5 supply I've been putting down, not been enough to maintain this offensive in some stages. Ah, thank God. So even with all of that and all of those bonuses, I still couldn't take Amions or preserve my armor steps. It was just a complete slaughter for all intents and purposes, just trying to break through to get to these objectives. But fortunately, with the use of all my cards and Calais and a bit of RNG in terms of using the flying artillery, we were able to, for the most part, break through within the time limit, and it just became a supply issue. As you can see with the rest of the scenario, I'm trying to push forward as fast as I can, as quickly as I can, while also trying to contend with supply and protecting my rear areas. Now the thing is, this requires you to have no care for your flanks once you get to this stage here, and you just got to bomb it all the way up to all the way up to the objectives. And all it takes is one of these guys to intercept or take a supply dump, and you've got to redo the scenario. It's a very technical, rather unforgiving scenario, and you've got to use everything at your disposal, airstrikes, paratroopers, etc., in order to win it. Really, it was a case of I got to this stage. I got very lucky with this tank encirclement. This tank encirclement here was wonderful because it meant that I could continue persevering, and I was able to micro most of my infantry to hold the Maginot line. So whilst I was able to encircle this front or this sector down here, I could keep on punching it before the Allied reinforcements come. Now at some stage here, you're going to have to make a decision whether or not to risk it once you know infantry is going to start coming in and some armor, or whether or not you're going to slow down your advance and do piecemeal. Now I risked it to cross the rivers to avoid them being blown up, and I just about managed it. But I can see a lot of people struggling if they don't push fast enough, and if they're too cautious. And as you can see with these bridges, if these bridges get blown, it's pretty much GG unless you're moving up your headquarters as quickly as possible. One of those scenarios where you are not given a lot of room to maneuver. So, Dunkirk, May 26, 1940. The cream of the French army, the remains of the Belgian army and most of the BF are all trapped in an ever-shrinking perimeter centred on the French port of Dunkirk. Knowing they would need their forces intact for further attacks into France, the Germans gambled that they could bomb the pocket into submission and thus avoid heavy casualties, though the panzers were halted for a few crucial days. However, as soon as it became clear that the Luftwaffe was not up for the task, they were once again let loose. So if you take Dunkirk, you can see Lion, but we're going to go by the historical route, probably because I also won't be able to achieve taking Dunkirk. So, despite the Luftwaffe's best efforts, Allied troops are being evacuated right off the beaches of Dunkirk. This is unacceptable. Your orders are to crush the Allied pocket and take Dunkirk. At the same time, you are required to maintain a bridgehead across the Somme near Amiens. The French are sure to launch limited attacks in that area. So, Belgian capitulation if we take this objective. Preserve armour, lose less than 5 steps. Dunkirk, and then we need to take Lille, Ostend and Calais, right at the same time making sure we hold Amiens. Our supply lines are already pretty limited. We're probably going to have to put down supplies here. But we have still in one of our pockets the Flieger Air Corps and Panzer Group Kleist, which has done this massive encirclement, which we're very happy with. We're going to immediately upgrade our Panzer groups again, give them the best stuff. Where possible. And then Panzer Group A, this is all infantry, so let's upgrade our infantry squads. And then Panzer Group Kleist. Oh wait, yeah, but let's do Panzer Group Kleist first. Oh, I've done Panzer Group Kleist. Panzer Group B, that's what I meant. Panzer Group B. German infantry on this sector. And we can only buy infantry steps, which is disappointing. You sure we can only buy? Yeah, we can only buy infantry steps in this sector. So the first thing we're going to do is readjust our forces so our best equipment is issued out to the frontline troops. So immediately we're going to take away from the infantry over here these items, the Panzerjägers and the Flaks. And then we're going to give it out to the frontline troops. Same with this. Reorganize. I can't take any more of you. And I can't give you guys anything. We should be able to easily take Calais, and we still have enough arm for this scenario. It's only an 8-turn scenario, but we'll give it a go because I want to continue to end this conference. And the first thing we're going to do is crack out the flying artillery. Immediately bomb this. But no paratroopers, so that's a problem, so we may have to restart the scenario. Because if I could... I screwed up here, I should have gone for this objective, but hey ho. At the same time, let's start punching out with the armour. Make sure they can't do any limited attacks. And then move in on Calais with our one-to-one unit. Sadly that didn't work, but hopefully we can break through here instead. Nope. Shame. Oh well. Let's start putting pressure elsewhere. Can we do some breakthroughs on this sector? And the answer is no. Let's end our turn. Order tank back, thank you. Pull these guys back, please. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Or don't. There we are. Come on, you shouldn't have many troops left. There we are. I could have got that Dutch capitulation if I just pushed there instead. Ah, I'm such an idiot. Oh well. So this guy's going to retreat. We're going to undo that move. That tank's going to punch up and break out. Panzerlehr, come on, keep pushing. Can't let them really have access to close down this river. If they do, then we're boned, basically. Meanwhile, we'll focus more on crushing this pocket. You gotta stop with that shite. There we are, Calais ours. Okay. Enemy Panzer. Not too worried about it. it's cut off, it will start starving. To the north. We took out Lille, which is fine, but we need to take Ostend and still get that Belgian capitulation. If I had got that Belgian capitulation, I would have been fine, but I didn't, so... Keep sending up troops, and then we'll try and break through later. I don't really want Lille, not yet anyway. You should retreat now, really, but you're not going to. It's all about keeping that riverhead open. As long as I keep that riverhead open, we're fine. A minor upset here. It's actually quite a big upset because a lot of my troops are pretty busted right now, so I need to open up this supply line now. Let these guys starve. I could try and cross to get the Dutch capitulation. How many things do I have on this? Quite a few. You know what, why not? Put down a supply point. I don't actually need to. Keep breaking out along this sector. And this was all rather necessary just to stop them closing off this pocket. Because if they'd closed it off, then we'd have been, well, it would have been GG no re. It would have been extremely difficult to counterattack. At the same time, let's continue persevering over here. What to do? Can't really break across this sector. I have broken across the center, which is fine. And I do need to stop some of my stuff being wiped. There we are. That tank destroyed. We should be fine on our supply now. And the next step will be to break through to Ostend by turn 4, but that's not going to happen. I'm not going to be able to preserve armor. Can't prevent mass evacuations. If I had taken that... So mad. I could have taken that as well. If I'd done this properly, I could have taken that. But anyway, it's just about making sure the Amiens bridgehead is secure. Because if it isn't, then they're going to fuck you up, basically. Some infantry losses, but nothing I can't handle. We can close this pocket on Amiens and then I can start starving. I mean, I could hold it and then keep my points, but you know how it is. There we are. SCP Baguette has been contained, and we're still trying to break through on that sector, but it's not going to work. I want that Dutch capitulation so bad. There we are, and now we can start moving in. And that was just so because I couldn't break across it, I had to surround a little and break up from the south. I think this is mostly contained now. I don't think the French can counterattack with what's left of their forces, and if they can, then well done. But for the most part, we've achieved everything we needed to, and it's just a case to move on to the next sector, which will be Ostend. Dunkirk should fall soon. I need to take Dunkirk by turn 8. That's easily to achieve. And print mass evacuations, that's pretty easy to achieve as well. Not once, if you can knock out the Belgians, then that whole right flank just becomes open and you can just do whatever you like. It's just a pity I didn't knock it out at the start, because then this would have been even more of a stomp. Lille's now collapsed. We can take Lille and start closing in on it. That's a lot of prisoners, actually an awful lot of prisoners. And then the rest of the force can move forward. So I think we're going to aim for a breakthrough on the right, because I don't think I'm going to be able to punch from the left. So if I break through on this sector, try and land across. Hopefully, we'll be able to succeed. In any case, we'll continue to close down the Amiens pocket. And this just goes to show, because I'll be able to preserve most of my tanks, this hasn't been too bad. But Dunkirk is the next on my list. Not to actually do the alt history scenario, but just to get more points for the next upcoming scenarios. So the plan is to land across like so, and the game has crashed. So once again, oh, because it wants to update. Oh no, it doesn't. The game just crashed. Okay. Okay. Okay, game. And let's continue the Blitzkrieg campaign. So the reason why this is appearing so easy right now is because I've been able to preserve a lot of the armor. If you don't preserve your armor, and because almost each scenario is persistent, you will end up in a situation where your armor is just too weak and it can't push through. This is very pertinent in Barbarossa. If you lose too many tanks in Barbarossa, then you're not going to be able to punch through. But because I've had a rather large number of tanks, I haven't lost that many, I can reinforce them all, and they're all pretty full strength. The only thing they're lacking is a little bit of special equipment. That's the Amion's pocket secured. I'm going to try and break across here now. And it crashed again. It did not like that. For some reason, it does not like that landing maneuver. It does not like it. It's the British. They've hacked the game. Okay, continue campaign. Blitzkrieg DLC. And let's try that again. Second attempt. Well, third attempt, actually. This is easier than Sickle Stroke because this is just slowly collapsing lines, and a lot of the infantry is not very strong anymore. So I'm happy with that. But I am not. I'm a bit concerned that I can't break through here. I may have to do some meanery. What if I land with this one instead? No, does not like it. Okay, the game won't let me win. And I need that breakthrough as well, because that is the weakest part of the front. Otherwise, I don't think I'll be able to get Dunkirk. Potential breakthrough here instead. It's a bit awkward, but can I cross here without you crashing? That's Dunkirk secured. I'll move some troops around, contain this, and then I'll finish off this sector over here. Sometimes prisoners of war can actually screw you over because it takes you more than one movement slot to move over prisoner of war position. Same with HQs, meaning that sometimes I've lost because the prisoners of war has slowed me down, and I haven't been able to get to the objectives. So it's turn 7. What's my best weapons against this? 3-0. 1-2. And there's Dunkirk. Already and packed up, being to go. So, the last bomber on the last turn. We have taken Dunkirk with a little bit of fiddling around, but altogether, objectives secured. With an awful lot of prisoners. A very unique game because you're getting some degree of limited offensives on the west, and your job is not only to contain this pocket or close and wipe out this pocket, but also hold open amiens. And you're probably wondering, why was I so busy throwing people into this meat grinder when I could have just retreated back across this? It's because if I lose this bridgehead over amiens, they will be able to secure the bridgeheads over there, and it'll make it very difficult with their good troops and decent tanks to break back across this river line. That means that I've either got to do a slow grind up this sector, or I've got to start throwing troops away trying to cross. And if I do partial crossings and I don't establish a beachhead, they'll start deleting my tanks one by one. So I'll cross here. Here's a good example. I'll cross here, and I'll only be able to get one guy across. And then everyone will start attacking it, and because there's no bridge nearby, I imagine this bridge has been taken by the enemy, these guys will get wiped out. And so that's why I was doing this sort of go back and forth with some of my best tanks to hold this sector. I sort of threw the Belgian capitulation. I could have done this a lot earlier if I'd, say, used the flying artillery on this objective, broken across, and then attacked, and then landed. Then this whole sector would have collapsed, and I could have moved across. Instead, I had to use the panzers to break through at Lille first, in a rather risky strategy, and then afterwards move through up to the north to Dunkirk. You can see that my tanks are slowly getting worn down, and although it said preserve armor, it's not that important compared to actually getting all the other objectives and getting your money back. And now that I have most of my money back, I'm a happy boy. And with that's a victory. So, evacuation assistance. Historically, British, French, and Belgian forces trapped near Dunkirk fought tenaciously and with great skill to cover the evacuation of their comrades in arms. In the end, almost 340,000 troops were evacuated across the Channel. That is ridiculous. If really, the Germans should have collapsed. They should have collapsed that Dunkirk pocket, and they would have just won the war. Well, they would have really kicked the British in the teeth. Okay, so the next scenario. So, because we took Dunkirk, we can now decide to subjugate Switzerland and knock the Swiss out of the war, or we can keep on going down the historical track. And of course, a lot of people miss out the next parts of the war. They see the Dunkirk and they see the German pincer movement in Belgium, but they often don't see the historical track of what happened with the rest of the French forces as the German armor continued to push south. In this case, you will be able to see that via the historical path. and hopefully we'll have enough armor. And this is where the difficulty curve starts to slowly tick back in your favor, and you're no longer really worried about losing as badly. So we'll go through the historical path, and we will. I don't want to end the conference. I want to buy. We'll get a free asset. I've been trolled here. All they've given me is air recon, but I've still got my Fallschirmjäger, and I still have a bomber as a reserve, so it's not the end of the world. So Fall Rot west is the next scenario, followed by Fall Rot east. With the pocket near Dunkirk dealt with, and the Wehrmacht pivots south towards Paris and the French Atlantic ports, which are crucially needed for Germany's U-boat operations. The French army, while severely weakened and lacking reserves, is by no means a beaten force. Yes, so we'll be seeing the remnants of the Germans marching on Paris, and of course marching down to the southeast. But we have to end today, boys and girls, because I need to go have a nice lunch, and I don't want to be in my room all day playing video games. In any case, we've got our money back, we're happy, we're good, and so we will continue on when I get back. So gentlemen, thank you all for watching. I hope you have a good one, and goodbye.